I'm going to be very real with you. This is a pain to make. Hi everyone, it's Tash and welcome to another recipe video. And today we are making apple rose frangipane tarts. You might have already known that I was going to make this week, because last week I made Icelandic rye bread ice cream, and in my original blog post on tashcakes.com I actually made these two recipes together at the same time, all the way back in 2015. But since they're both beautiful recipes and they both need a video, especially this one because this one needs some visuals to go with it, I thought they both deserved their own separate blog posts. I developed this recipe off the back of a trend. Back in 2014 and 15 there was a trend where people would slice up apples and then roll it up in puff pastry and then bake them so you'd have like a puff pastry apple rose pie. I adapted this at the time to include some frangipane custard within the tart, and I think it made a lot more of an interesting dessert. No shade on the original, by the way, that was a really good idea. The only trouble is, the original recipe, which was literally just apple and puff pastry, was super easy because you're rolling up the apple within that puff pastry and you're creating an encasement for that rose. With this one, you're making the apple rose just with the apples, and it is very fiddly, as you will see, but I will show you how to do it. It just takes a little bit of practice. Also, I'd like to think that I was the first person to do this. Not the original trend, by the way, the idea of actually putting frangipane at the bottom and then the apple on top inside the pastry case itself. And I noticed a little while after I actually did this recipe, a few other people hopped on the bandwagon too, but they never referenced me. Could be coincidence. It's not rocket science to put frangipane in a tart and apple on top of it, but the timing was very odd. This is alas the risk you take as a content creator that's very small and doesn't have much of a following. Bigger ones will take your ideas and they will get the credit for it. It's just as well I don't mind that much. Otherwise I wouldn't be here years later still doing recipes every week. So this recipe in theory is simple. You're using pre-made puff pastry, which solves a lot of problems right off the bat. And the frangipane itself is just a few ingredients. You're literally stirring it together in a bowl with a wooden spoon. Easy. The complicated part is making the apple roses. One, you have to be quite good with a knife and you're going to have to very thinly slice those apples. And then of course is making the roses themselves, because you'll have the slices sticking out. You're going to have to use all of your fingers, all of the whole parts of your hands to keep the roses together before you pop them in the pastry cases with the frangipane. In any case, even if you don't get that perfect rose shape, these are super delicious. So with that in mind and a little bit of patience, let's go to the kitchen and see how it's done. First we're going to preheat our oven to 180 degrees C. I've also prepared a normal cupcake tin by greasing the inside, and I've also laid a strip of non-stick baking paper within each one. This will make it a bit easier to lift the tarts out. Now what we need to do is to cut some apples. So I have 3 pink lady apples here. Any crisp red or pink skin apple will do. I'm going to cut them into quarters, core them, and then slice each quarter into about 9 or 10 thin slices. And as soon as we've sliced them, we're going to add them to a pan of boiling water, along with a tablespoonful of lemon juice, and this is going to help stop them from going brown. So as soon as you slice them, pop them in. This will also help soften the apple slices too. Now I'm just letting these apple slices simmer in a lemony water for about 5 minutes, and this is going to help soften them so they'll be a bit more bendy so we can roll them up into the rose shape in a minute. To make our frangipane filling, we need 1 egg, which I've beaten up already, 70 grams of ground almonds, 45 grams of caster sugar, half a teaspoonful of vanilla extract, and half a teaspoonful of almond extract, and also 45 grams of melted unsalted butter. This has been cooled as well, so it's not hot butter. Give this a little stir. And that's your frangipane filling done. Now here I have a block of all butter puff pastry, which I'm going to carefully unroll. And using a cutter that's slightly bigger, well, basically just as big as the top of these muffin pan holes, I'm going to stamp out 12. And I'm not actually going to be too bothered about if they are exact circles or not. This is all butter puff pastry, by the way. It tastes the best. You can use regular just roll puff pastry if you want, but if you can find all butter puff pastry, then please do use it. Now we're going to take a disc and we're going to pop it into the bottom of one of these. I'll do it with this one just so you can see a bit more easily. Just carefully ease it. Whoops. It's going to be a little bit fiddly because of that paper, but bear with us. Just carefully pop it in there. And it is going to be a bit smaller, but that is okay. I actually have a pastry dowel here, so this is going to help me swish it in a bit. If you don't, then just use your hands. Oh, these look so cute already. Right, now that all the pastry's in the cases, I'm going to take a heaped teaspoonful of our frangipane and pop it into the bottom of each case. And if you have any left, then just divide it evenly between your cases. Now, here's the interesting part. I actually stopped talking here because I was concentrating so hard, so I will do a voiceover. Here I have 7 of my slices, and remember these have been boiled till they're soft and they've been drained and cooled, and I'm overlaying them like this, and then we're going to go from left to right and roll them up. And this is the super fiddly bit and why I stopped talking, because I was so busy concentrating. Use all of your hands, the whole hand, all of your fingers, to keep it together in a scroll like this. And then we're going to grab the whole thing, we're going to pop it straight into one of the tarts. You can see me sort of psyching myself up for it here. I was so scared to drop it. And also the papers didn't help either. Maybe I should have made them shorter. Anyway, I eventually managed to get it in there, and you can see that lovely spirally rose shape forming. And then I just give each individual slice just a little bit of a poke to make sure that they're nice and settled in there. Anyway, it turns out when I did get more confident, a couple of tarts in, I did make a little voiceover, so let's see how that goes. So here I have 7 slices, which I've overlaid this way, and remember we're going to roll it up so that this is going to be in the centre. Let's stand it up, because I actually find that's a little bit easier. Curl it this way, like that, make sure you're pinching the edges. Use all of your fingers, whoops, pop that back in, and put it straight into a tart. And you're just going to flay it out a bit again. Phew, that was hard work. Right, now we're going to bake these for about 25 minutes until they're golden and bubbling. Meanwhile, we're going to make a little bit of a glaze. I have about a tablespoonful of strawberry jam here. And then I'm going to add just a teaspoonful of rose syrup. Last time I used rose jam, but I don't have any rose jam at the moment, so rose syrup will do. And I'm going to thin it down with a little bit of boiling water. And that's our very simple glaze. Now our tarts are done. Ooh, sizzly, sizzly goodness. And while they're still hot, we're going to brush on our strawberry rose glaze. While I was doing this, I kept thinking about that bit in Alice in Wonderland where the Queen of Hearts gets annoyed at her servants for painting the roses red instead of planting red roses in the first place. Gives those sorts of vibes. Anyway, as you can see, the colour of the jam and syrup does most of the hard work when it comes to the colour of these apple roses, because when they bake, the skins of the apples do lose their colour a bit, but not to worry, jam to the rescue. And I am being quite liberal with brushing it over the top, but not so much that it soaks into the pastry, because we want to keep that pastry nice and crisp. And now we're going to let these cool completely. And because we prepared in advance, these are super easy just to pop out. Oh, lovely. Well, these were certainly very high effort, but wow, well worth that effort. And of course I couldn't resist doing my usual slow-mo. You can see that lovely gooey Frangipane in the middle, but also listen to this. Beautiful. What a tart. Ah, it smells so marzipan-y and apple and a little bit rosy from the rose syrup. You've got a very crisp pastry, listen to this. Oh, and since I've already squished it, I'm going to take a bite, so cheers. buttery goodness. You've got the flaky buttery pastry, you've got the buttery fragrant nutty frangipane custard inside, the fruity juicy apples with a little hint of rose from our strawberry rose jam glaze. I wouldn't make this every day because high effort, but wow, if you have a potluck or a dinner party to go to, these are going to impress. I hope you give it a try though, because despite my complaining, it is quite fun to make and it's so satisfying to see them come out of the oven like little roses. And it's delicious too. So there you go, apple rose frangipane tarts. Thanks for watching, I hope you enjoyed today's video and I hope you'll join me next Wednesday for my next one. Get the full written recipe on my blog tashcakes.com, follow me on Instagram, I'm tashcakes.taste, and find me on TikTok too, I'm tashcakes there too, but my handle is @food_in_slow-motion. Subscribe and hit the notification bell if you'd like to see more. Give this video a like if you'd like to help other people find it. Comment down below if you'd like me to make anything in particular, and I'll see you guys next time. Be good, be nice, and have a good week. If I'm squinting more than usual, I think it's because I've got a crumb in my eye.